Good morning, students. Welcome to another class. And in this class, we'll be looking at another topic in research. And this is for Mass 303 Communication Research. And today we'll be looking at sampling techniques. I come to discover that when it comes to selecting the appropriate sampling techniques for a particular study, students often sometimes find it challenging, difficult to allocate their study within the context of a proper sampling techniques that will help them to select their respondent or participant, as the case may be. So basically, we have two types of sampling. We have the probability and we have the non-probability sampling. So the probability sampling is a sampling technique that is associated with the quantitative method, which has to do with the statistical application. So the probability sampling is often subscribed to the quantitative aspect, while the non-probability deals more of not associating with numerical sequence. So it often subscribe to the thought or to the direction of qualitative method. Now, it is fundamentally important for us to look at what are some of the probability sampling. So under probability sampling, it uses mathematical guidelines whereby each unit has a chance of being selected, or where each unit's chance for selection into the sample is known. So probability procedures involves a random process that will lead to for you to generalize your findings. And the probability is a type that presume randomization, and randomization is the process of allowing every subject in the population to have an equal chance of being selected. So what are the types of probability sampling? The first one we have simple random sampling. And in simple random sampling, each subject, element, or unit of the population has an equal chance of being selected. So if you're doing a study, you can decide to use random sampling, whereby each element in that particular study will stand a chance to be selected in your study. Now the next one, we also have what is called systematic random sampling. And systematic sampling, this involves sampling by list, by fixed portion of interval. Systematic sampling entails the selection of the respondent according to a predetermined schedule, other than just random sequence. So here you select the fixed term. You have a criteria. For you to be able to do that, you must have a criteria for selecting. So for example, if you want to look at the coverage of newspaper of a particular subject, and then you look at, for example, you want to study the edition and you want to do a systematic sampling, then you can have a fixed interval. For example, in each of the edition per week, you want to start your selection with the second edition, which is your N10 is maybe starting with the second edition. So if it is second and you want to skip 2 days interval, you can decide to say, okay, this second, the N10 is 2. So when you say 2, now 2 plus 2 will give you what? You sample the next edition. That is, we give you 4, for example. Then you sample the 4. Now 4 plus 2 again will give you 6. So you pick that 6 and you continue like this till the end of the study. That is systematic sampling. Then we also have stratified sampling. And stratified sampling ensure that it is a sample that is drawn from a homogeneous subset of a population. That is from a population that has a similar characteristics. Now, the homogeneity helps researchers to reduce your sampling error. So in stratified sampling, it entails you are dividing your population, or you are dividing your respondent into groups, and the group is often known as strata or stratum. So you group your respondent based on this category. Then we also have what is called cluster sampling, and cluster sampling has to do with dividing your population based on the cluster that you have, for example, and you must have a criteria for grouping them or dividing them based on the cluster. For example, if you're conducting a study and the respondents are maybe mechanic people, for example, and you are using survey, and one of the things in survey is when you have a sampling frame that will help you to be able to sufficiently pick your respondents. And once you don't have a sampling frame, it will be challenging for you to pick them. So you can decide to do a cluster sampling, whereby most of these mechanic sites, you go to each site, because it will be difficult for you to have a comprehensive list of all the mechanic, maybe in the Ikorodu here, for example. So you can go to their location. So as you go there, you collect the list of those mechanic people that are working in that particular site. When you go to another, you also have the kind of list. So you collect the list in all the sites of the mechanics, stations in those areas. Then at the end, that list that you have collected will become a comprehensive list. In other words, it becomes your sampling frame from which you can now select those that you want to study. Now, on the aspect of the non-probability sampling, we say this does not follow the guidelines of the mathematical probability, and the non-probability sampling does not allow generalization of data or findings. You don't generalize in this context. And what are the types of non-probability sampling? The first one we have purposive sampling, and purposive sampling is also called judgmental sampling, which is based on the researcher's judgment for selecting a particular respondent or participant that will be part of that study. And since it is judgmental, you have a criteria. For example, if you are doing a purposive sampling and you decide, for example, to pick students of Department of Mass Communication of Caleb University, those you want to select purposively because they have met the criteria of the study, and that is why you are selecting them. Maybe perhaps because they have sufficient knowledge concerning the subject matter under investigation, and that is why you are selecting them. So it is based on your judgment. You feel, yes, for example, this person has what it takes to be part of this study, so I will purposively bring in the respondent or the participant to be part of the study. So we purposively select them. Then we also have convenience sampling, and the convenience sampling, it has to do with availability. Somebody is available, and then at your own convenience, you can just pick the person. For example, student of mass communication, maybe perhaps level 400, conducting a study, and then he or she knows where level 4 used to have lectures, and then we will go there maybe 10 o'clock, for example. The student will go and sit there and be waiting for other students to come that actually participate in that class. So once they come, we just start giving them questionnaire conveniently, no stress. So that is convenient sampling. You can decide to also do that at the level of non-probability sampling. Now we also have accidental sampling, and accidental sampling is another sampling techniques under non-probability sampling that has to do with by chance. So you meet somebody by chance. For example, you have your questionnaire, and then you are going. Anybody you meet by chance will be part of the study. That is accidental sampling. And then we have another one, the snowball sampling. And another name for the snowball sampling is referral, whereby, for example, you are conducting a study and you want to study the sign or the language pattern of communication of the people that involve in lesbianism, and you have identified one that yes, this one is a member. Maybe if they put chain on their left leg, what is the sign of the communication? And once you are able to identify one, you interview the person, and then after the interview, you ask him to link you up to another fellow of hers. So she will link you to another person. So it's referring you. So you interact with the second person. They keep referring you. That is why it's called snowball sampling. One person will lead you to another, the other person will lead you to another until you get